Hello and welcome to the Kim Iversen Show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Just a reminder that the show is moving times starting next week. We will be moving the show time way earlier in the day. So it'll be 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern starting on Monday. So tonight and tomorrow night are the last nights of this show being at this time. And then what's great about it is you'll be able to watch the show at any time of day, after 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you're used to watching it at this time and this is what you want to do, you're a creature of habit, you can still do that. It'll be here for you. It'll just also be here for you a lot earlier in case you want to watch it earlier in the day. So it's going to be a big change, but we're ready for it. We're ready to get the show out there earlier. Just, I think, so more people can watch it. It's a bit late. It's a bit late for a lot of people, the time that it currently is at. So once again, 2 p.m. Eastern is the new start time for this show starting on Monday. That's 11 a.m. Pacific for those of us on the West Coast. So it's a morning show now for me starting next week. All right. Donald Trump Jr. went on air and said that Tucker Carlson is certainly a contender for Donald Trump's vice president pick. Watch this.
So Trump has already said that he's picked his VP, but he can't tell us. Back in 2016, he didn't pick somebody that was running for president. He chose Mike Pence, who at the time was not a candidate for president. Could you see your father running with Ron DeSantis? I asked him that question over the summer, and he didn't rule it out. Could you see Ron DeSantis?
How do you? It's hard. People do that. I would do whatever I could to make sure it wasn't Nikki Haley. But like a Ron DeSantis, could I see? You're never going to rule out someone that is, a leading contender. It doesn't mean that's who you go with. I could see other people that would be great. I'd love to see, a J.D. Vance. I'd love to see a Tucker Carlson. I'd love to see, people who are just principally, in alignment as well as aggressive. You actually need a fighter. The Republicans in Washington, D.C. are weak. You can have the House, the Senate, and they'll still roll over.
Don, is your dad serious about Tucker Carlson? Are those rumors serious?
I would imagine, listen, that's clearly it would be on the table, right? I mean, they're very friendly. I think they agree on virtually all of these things. They certainly agree on stopping the never-ending wars. And so, I would love to see that happen. And, that would certainly be a contender.
Ben Carson, those rumors legit?
Ben's great. I mean, what a great American, someone who was just steadfast and loyal throughout all of the insanity of the last years. I'd love to see that. And, Ben's almost too nice for politics. That may be the only problem. Can you withstand the insanity that's in there? But I'd love to see a Ben Carson in there.
That might be a good thing. But no way Nikki Haley.
Oh, well, that's my opinion. I don't make these decisions, but I don't think that's currently really on the table.
Let's hope it's never Nikki. Never Nikki Haley. She is the worst. Interesting, though. It's very interesting that he says this, that Tucker Carlson is potentially on the table as a VP pick. I don't see it happening. I don't see that happening. I actually think, I'm relieved to hear that Donald Trump Jr. does not think that Nikki Haley is a contender for VP. Of course, he says he's not the one making the decisions, but it's a relief to hear from him at least that it seems like, he's careful not to speak for his father, but it does seem like she's not in the running for that, which is a huge relief. But interestingly, Ron DeSantis would still potentially be in the running. And, Ron DeSantis has gone hard after Donald Trump, smearing him, saying a lot of things. But so did Kamala Harris over Joe Biden. I mean, she called him like a racist, essentially, during the primaries. So anything goes when it comes to picking a VP. I would not be surprised if Donald Trump chooses Ron DeSantis. I think that would probably be, I suppose, his smartest pick. A lot of Republicans like Ron DeSantis. Obviously, they're voting for him. The two of them, I think, would bring in, I think most of the Republican voters. But there are some thoughts that Donald Trump might go in a completely different direction. He might. There are some thoughts that he could choose somebody who's maybe was a Democrat, who's defected from the Democratic Party, like RFK Jr., even though he's running for president as well. But maybe he'll extend his hand and offer him a vice president role, or Tulsi Gabbard, or there's some others. So there's, we're going to see, but we're getting close. It's getting close to where they're going to have to start choosing and announcing their VP picks. Now, I don't know if Biden is going to be sticking with Kamala Harris. I would assume so. But it's certainly to the point where, but I don't actually think that Biden's going to end up being the presidential nominee. I think they're going to do a bait and switch on us in July, and then it will be a whole different ticket, a whole different shakeup. That's what I'm kind of waiting on. But we are looking closely at the VP picks for Donald Trump and also for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Speaking of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s VP pick, look at this tweet. There are some rumors circulating that potentially it would be Tulsi Gabbard. William Jennings says RFK, who's a resident of Hawaii, by the way, says RFK Jr. is arriving in Honolulu on January 16th for a few days. His deadline to announce a VP is fast approaching. He'll be having an undisclosed gathering at a private residence. Gabbard's? Will he announce his VP pick on his birthday, January 17th, coinciding with the 131st year of the illegal overthrow? Will he become the POTUS who deoccupies Hawaii? It all could happen. So interestingly, that meeting, this private residence meeting that he had was yesterday. It'd be interesting to find out where that was. Interesting to look into if he's looking at maybe Tulsi Gabbard as his VP pick. And, she definitely appeals to a lot of people on the right. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. appeals to a lot of people on the right, I think more so now than before. And especially with some of the comments he's made recently about Israel-Palestine, about the Palestinians. He's a very, very big, staunch supporter of Israel, almost more so than anybody else. And it'd be interesting. And Tulsi also has really been, she's now a Fox News contributor. She talks incessantly about fighting terrorism. Not exactly an anti-war person. It turns out, unfortunately, she's really into fighting terrorism and doing what's necessary to do that, which is what got us into all of these never-ending wars to begin with, was the whole we're fighting terrorism. And that's why we're now in this new kind of battle with funding Israel endlessly, because it's about terrorism. We got to stop the terrorists. Ivory Hecker, though, tweets this. She says, I predict Trump will select Tulsi Gabbard as his VP. Roger Stone says he likes the idea of her with Trump, and Roger has been advising Trump on this topic. Tulsi is a former Democrat, and Trump could use her help pulling more former Dems away from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't think Tulsi Gabbard pulls Dems. So I don't know if that's a strategy. I think she is popular amongst the right. I don't think she's I think she's lost her popularity with a lot of people who supported her, who came from the left side, who are more progressive. I don't think she really holds those people as much anymore, at least not what I'm seeing. So there is, but it's interesting that maybe Trump is looking at her. Excuse me, I'm thinking I'm going to sneeze. Oh, goodness. Every time, right? It just gets me every time. Maybe the studio's dusty. Maybe I need to dust. Maybe that's why I keep sneezing when we're doing the show here. I don't sneeze any other time of day, but then as soon as we're doing the show, right? This always happens to me. That's how you know we're live. All right. But it's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting thought that he would choose Tulsi. I don't think he will. I think that there's, if he's going to choose a VP, it would have to be like Ron DeSantis or Tucker Carlson or Ben Carson as well, I think would be an interesting pick. And there's others who are interested and have more popularity and more pull, and also just more sway inside of the Republican Party. I think that there's a lot of Republicans who like Tulsi Gabbard, but I think there's a lot of Republicans who don't like her, and they think that she's a wolf in sheep's clothing, that she's truly a Dem, and they don't trust her. She's flip-flopped on too many of her stances. So I don't see that, but I do see it potentially for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So we will, we'll keep our eyes on this, but it is fast approaching, these VP picks.